everybody? It's Davey from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop. So park your ass right there. And while you're there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, and the subscribe button down below. Also, you can check the description and below. You can click it, and there's my Patreon account. You can become a patron, and all you have to do is click the link, and you can recommend movies and music for me to watch and review. With that being said, today we are at it again with a review for none other than Wonder Woman 1984. Off top, I'm going to tell you guys from jump, I'm going to be completely honest in this video, and I'm going to be completely transparent. And this is the review that a lot of people are going to need to hear. I understand that this movie is gaining a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people say they don't like it. A lot of other people say they like it. But I'm here to tell you the honest to God truth. And with that being said, let's get into it. First and foremost, this movie is nowhere near as good as the original or the first film. Gal as Wonder Woman, in my opinion, she took some steps back in her acting performance. She could have done a lot better. I was surprised when I first saw the first Wonder Woman and how well she did. I thought that she was going to take strides forward in her performance as Wonder Woman, but I was kind of disappointed when watching this movie, and I felt like her performance and her acting chops kind of regressed. I thought it was only going to get better from this point on, but sadly, I was kind of mistaken. We also have Chris Pine as Steve. He added a bit of comedic relief, and he kind of came off as that very Indiana Jones-ish person. But being brought back, in my opinion, to the story wasn't really necessary. And I'm just going to try to leave it at that. Now, Kristen Wiig as Cheetah. I have to say, this is probably one of the best things about this movie, hands down. Kristen Wiig's performance as Cheetah was super dope, and I was never familiar with this actress. I know she did some SNL stuff, but I was never familiar with her acting stuff, and now, well, basically until now. So now I'm going to have to kind of keep an eye out for her because I actually enjoyed her role as Cheetah. I feel like she did a very good job, and she was one of the very few dope things about this movie. Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. We all know Pedro from The Mandalorian. He's Mando. You know, this is the way. But his performance in this movie was kind of animated, and it kind of, to me, it kind of took the seriousness out of the film. It really felt like I was watching kind of like an old school TV show, and kind of the way he was acting felt like a very cartoonish villain, in my opinion. Now, to me, this movie has a lot of things going wrong with it. One, the CGI in some of the scenes is kind of unappealing to me. Like, I was really watching this movie, and some of the CGI really made me cringe. And it was really weird because the budget of this movie was increased, I think, by $50 million. And I would think that would play into a factor of the CGI not looking so cringy at times. Also, the lack of action in this movie, aside from the opening scene, we don't really get another action scene with Wonder Woman in it until almost an hour into the film, which is pretty damn ridiculous when you kind of take that into context that this is a superhero film. I understand that they were going with it and they were trying to build character development, and they were trying to probably pace the film, and they were trying to set things up, but at the same time, I felt like it took the wind out of the sails in regards to what I expected. Speaking of an hour into this film, the whole hour situation, this film has a ridiculously long runtime. The runtime is 2 hours and 31 minutes. I believe a lot of things could have been trimmed from this movie. If you guys are familiar with anime, you would know the term filler. I feel like this movie has a lot of filler, and it makes you wonder what was the point of some certain scenes in this movie. Another thing that might not be I don't know if it's a popular opinion or unpopular opinion, but I don't think Steve should have been in this movie. I think the way that they brought him back was stupid. I don't think he even should have been in this movie. I think he should have just went another route. But I feel like they did it in order to try to rekindle that spark from the first film. But to me, I feel like they should have just moved on and went a whole different direction with this altogether. Another thing that I didn't like was they went a different route with how they introduced Cheetah and how she got her powers. Which is kind of stupid because the way that they had the movie set up, they could have easily went that route and told her true origin story. But I guess in order to tie her into the guy, Max, they probably Maxwell. They probably that's the reason why they did it. But to me, it kind of took it away. I feel like they could have even kept that story that they were going with Maxwell, and they still could have like went the Cheetah original route because it was there at their disposal. But they did nail Cheetah's character to the T. The whole idea of her character based on jealousy. Her character was pretty damn dope. And honestly, Pedro's character would have been dope if he would have took more of a serious approach to it. And that's just my opinion on that matter. But the final act in this movie to me was lacking. And that was another problem that I had with the first Wonder Woman movie. The final scene didn't do it for me. I felt like in the first movie, the freaking movie was amazing from beginning all the way to like almost the final scene. And then once it gets to the final scene, you're just like, yeah, it becomes very meh. I feel like this movie did not have a good final scene, and I feel like this is probably going to be a repetitive nature of these Wonder Woman films. They're not going to be able to finish strong. This movie, to me, didn't finish strong. That final sequence was pretty damn cheap. It was whack. I didn't really like it that much. Also, some of the things that are introduced in this film, they interfere with the continuity or what we already know about Wonder Woman. I'm not really going to go into details about it because that would include spoilers, but if you've seen the other films with Wonder Woman introduced in them, you would know that some of the things that happens in this movie, it interferes with what we already know. So there's plot holes, basically. Also, I am not a fan of how they explain or created a certain iconic item that Wonder Woman uses. Wonder Woman has an iconic item that everybody knows about. It's one of her signature things, and the way that they introduce it or create it or explain how it gets made, I didn't like that. I thought it was pretty damn whack. I thought it was lackluster, and I was really like, meh. I mean, although it was cool to see it, like it still was pretty damn. The explanation for it was kind of like, bruh, come on. Final thoughts. Same thing I just said. Seeing that item being used in the film was dope. I didn't really expect it to be used, so seeing it in the film was actually pretty cool. There's a super dope post-credit scene that would have gotten a huge pop in theaters. I mean, if this was a movie theater, I'm pretty sure people would have really been going wild at this post-credit scene. So if you've watched the movie or you're planning on watching the movie, make sure you stay all the way to the end, past the credits. If you have HBO Max, you can go ahead and fast forward it to the end. You already know. Kristen Wiig kills it as Cheetah. I think she was probably the single-handedly, she was the best thing in this freaking film. Hands down, easily one of the best things in this film. The movie, in my opinion, is very entertaining, but it lacks that replay value. I feel like the first film had replay value. It's something I can watch. It's something that comes off as kind of like a classic superhero movie, but this movie, yeah, it's kind of lacking in that department. I don't think this is something that I would want to it's not something that I would want to rewatch willingly anytime soon. I remember when I saw the first Wonder Woman movie, I saw it, and then I think like a week later, I took my wife to go see it, and yeah, like it still hit like just as well. It wasn't one of those things where I seen it the second time and I was bored, I was yawning, I was falling asleep. Nah, when I saw the Wonder Woman the second time, I was still up, still watching it, still had the same feels for every scene when it happened, just like I was watching it for the first time. But this movie, I don't think that's going to be the same. It doesn't have that. This movie also lacked that one dope ass iconic scene. In the first movie, like the first movie had the scene where she takes off a little arm, she's running on the field with the armor and she's like in the middle of the war. That scene was hella iconic and everybody knows it, and it makes you feel a certain type of way. But this movie, I don't feel like it has it. I didn't feel anything for this movie. Like if it did have it, like it probably didn't hit for me because it just wasn't that good. Also, sadly, in my opinion, Gal took a step back in regards to her acting performance. I felt like she could have did a lot better. I felt like although she has that Wonder Woman look down pat, I didn't feel the same like I did after the first movie. Like I felt like she held. A lot of people trash Gal's acting in the like prior to the first Wonder Woman movie. A lot of people. And when I watched the movie, I was just like, yo, what are people talking about? She held her own. She did pretty good, right? Now, am I saying that she's like a freaking Oscar-worthy actress and her acting was all like just like top notch and just like, oh, give this lady an award? No, but it did what it needed to do in the first Wonder Woman film. So I expected that in this movie that she was going to take jumps and leaps ahead in order to take this character to the next level. And sadly, I was mistaken. It just didn't happen. I felt like instead she took a step back. Hell, even if she would have gave me the same performance as in the first film, I would have still felt some type of way because I felt like she should have jumped forward, and it didn't happen. Awesome. Overall, final thoughts. The story was pretty meh. It didn't really live up to what I expected. I felt like they could have went a different route. If it was a specific message that they were trying, the message that they're trying to convey in this movie, I felt like there are multiple ways that you could have expressed the same message with a different storyline, because the storyline was kind of like lacking and it just didn't live up to what I expected. Like, it was cool, it was fun, it was entertaining, but it wasn't great. And I was expecting something great with this movie. Now, if I have to give it a grade, I'm honestly going to give this movie a 3 out of 5. And that's being pretty damn generous. This movie gets a 3 out of 5 on my grading scale. Let me know what your grade is. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Go ahead and drop some comments in the comment section below. And until next time, this is Dave from the 80s. You are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and check out my Patreon account. Until next time, adios.